Welcome to the second episode of Series 88, everyone. This month we have returning guest Craig Campbell to learn about the game he is designing called Cosmic Corsairs, a space fantasy game about using the power of the cosmos to fight the oppressive Triarchy. In today's episode, we start getting into our character concepts, the species that we selected, power affinity, and appearance. But before we get to that, we do have some calls to action coming up right after the show. Here's what to expect. You can join us here to learn about our panel at GameHole Con coming up this Friday, October 17th. You'll also hear about our next planned stream date, more about our Patreon, and how to leave a review for the show, as well as our patron thank yous as usual. With all of that out of the way, enjoy the show, everyone.
Make some people. Where do we start?
Yes.
Let's make some people.
All right. I got the character creation section up. I've got my character sheet. What do we do, Craig?
Well, I think we can probably kind of go through it from the book, from the character creation as it's described. If you find yourself wanting to bounce to a different area, you certainly can. Like many games, character creation processes, there's only a handful of things that you have to do before something else. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a lot of stuff where you can bounce around. So if you some people like to save naming the character until the very end because it's the hardest thing to do, and they want to have a really solid idea of what the character is before they try to assign a name.
Nobody's pointing fingers at Amelia for that one at all.
Someday I'll get over it. Someday I'll be like the kind of person that's like, I can name this character Snickety Two Shoes or something, but today is not that day. And so far the last 7.5 years have not been that day.
We're getting you there.
So someday. We'll take it in order.
For our 10th year, I'll finally figure out how to just name a character on vibes. 10-year anniversary gift to this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
No promises.
No.
All right. Well, as often starts with a character for a role-playing game is let's start with just the concept, the basic idea of what you're looking to create. And there's a lot of different ways you can define your character concept. And if you can do that however you want, you can express that to me however you want. But one of the things I did was provide a little guide of building the concept out of your character's place in the world, so to speak, in the world of the game, in the solar system, I suppose, which is to tell me a little bit about where they grew up, something that has happened to them recently that has shaped them in some way, and that likely turns into the third point, which is why they have or will soon join the resistance, and what they're trying to do with that, because people do it for different reasons. People make these decisions to alter their lives for different reasons.
Yeah, and I love that you have a few examples in here that these are like, and I really also like that it's like a 2-word concept, like angry octogenarian is just very evocative to me.
Yeah. And that's the person who has been around and seen the government shift from this to that to this to that. And they're like, I am done just letting this happen. I am going to try to make sure that it's better before I die.
Yes. Yeah.
So I guess we can roll that around a little bit to each of you if you have any thoughts. I'm happy to kind of treat this like we're putting together a party. An actual crew. So give the two of you the opportunity to kind of come up with something, and then I'll find something to complement that.
Sure.
So I kind of have the idea. I've been, my child has started listening to a lot of punk rock recently. So I'm rediscovering that part of myself through her listening to all of these bands that used to listen to. Like I came out the other morning and she was like Rancid playing in the shower. And I was like, what a time to be alive. And so I have this desire to kind of play this sort of like idealist, kind of anarchist punk kid who like hasn't really had to like test any of those ideals yet, but is like, no, like we're going hard.
Did you grow up on planet in the midst of everything that's happening? Because it sounds like the character's younger.
Yes.
And you don't have to pick the planet at this moment because we're going to get to the species eventually. But you grew up, kind of on the planet in the midst of everything that the Triarchy, probably getting a front and center seat to what the Triarchy is doing, as opposed to living like with a group of refugees that are on the fringe that don't have a lot of incursions that they've managed to kind of slip past.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea because I think, probably partly because it was more my own experience, but it's somebody who's like kind of seeing it happen, but isn't necessarily the person that's been directly impacted by it so far. So like haven't had to deal with a lot of the realities of it yet and be faced with sort of like the, the cost benefit analysis of those things. So again, I can still sort of live in that idealized, like, why doesn't everybody just always fight? Obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like such an easy decision.
Right. Yeah. One of those things that's easy when you grew up white and middle class.
Okay. And you can flesh that out as far as any other details of the character as we go. We don't have to hit those 3 points that I listed. Whatever you're comfortable with kind of using as the baseline for your character. I just provided those 3 points. Those 3 points are just provided as an example for people who aren't sure where to start.
Sure.
Okay. I think my character grew up in kind of either like in between like a lower and middle class household. They were just skimming by, kind of in the like not really the target demographic per se, but like swept up in all the Triarchy like nonsense at a society level effectively. And I want this person to be kind of like an artist or like somebody that likes to talk about art or explore art and stuff like that. So I think they had like an artistic themed underground like discussion thing that was
Did you have a little salon? Like a little French Revolution salon?
Like a thing that could be distributed, right?
Were you making pamphlets?
Like audio pamphlets or whatever, right?
Yeah, like whatever they make in this world. But you were
underground transmissions of subversive,
like, almost like pirate radio-esque, right?
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of like French Revolution stuff lately, and like you're very much in like your pamphlet printing. Like, let me tell you, putting out my ideas.
Yeah, but like focusing more on like hopeful art and like transgressive like sort of art and stuff like that is kind of undermining the authority at that sort of level. And I think that like leads me into the resistance because that got shut down.
Mm-hmm.
So it became personal when this thing that you loved so much and that you built was taken from you for no good reason other than, they didn't like what you were saying.
Exactly. Yeah, I got a little too political at some point, and it got into the wrong hands, and that started the shutdown process.
All right. I think I'm going to develop a mentor type, a seasoned activist, someone who has been in the middle of activism even before the Triarchy, when the government that came before the Triarchy was called the Coalition, and they had their problems. They weren't perfect, and so they had things that the Triarchy could kind of exploit when those factions started to vie for control. So he has had had experience in dealing with trying to make change happen, but now has been doing it long enough that he's seen that like many of the methods that he has tried to use in the past just don't fly, just don't work with the Triarchy, because there's just too much control. There's too much. There's the systems in place are too powerful, and so he's decided, okay, it's time to take it up a notch. Like I've talked the talk for plenty of years. I have to walk the walk, and that puts, as a crew, that would put my character kind of in the position of being able to act, like I said, as like something of a mentor or somebody who's been in that world a little bit.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense.
Clearly these two need.
We're both kind of anarchists in a way, right?
Youths. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then are we satisfied with where we're starting from?
I think that's an interesting origin point for our characters. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we can assign character level 1 to all the characters. For reference to people listening to all of this, there are character levels in the game, but the game is very much a point buy system. At each level, you gain some points that you'll spend, character points. So there's a few things that are level dependent. Like when you reach this level, everybody gains this thing. But there's a lot of stuff that you're choosing from. So it's not strictly level based like some games are, where like class based, where like you gain at this level, you gain these things, and maybe you have a choice of like 2 or 3 sub things, whereas this is our character development, character creation is going to be a little more broad based. You're going to have a lot more choices, a lot more things to choose from.
Sure.
Than you would with a very class based, but level is used to keep track of the relative level of versatility of your character, because you're gaining more and more things that you can do. It's less about power creep and more about versatility.
Okay.
And then we're on to species. So you've both talked about planet side.
Yeah. I mean, just for our listeners, do you want to kind of give an elevator pitch on, the species that you have here?
Sure. The basic rundown of the species. There's a whole bunch of species in the solar system, in Aether space. There are 6 that are presented here for this game. The Crivid are colony creatures. They are slug-like creatures, a couple feet long, but they bond together in groups and create and form themselves into a sort of more bipedal form, where they are connected physically and also telepathically, and they take on sort of a single consciousness. In some sci-fi games, you might have seen this with like nanite creatures, or insectoid hive creatures. So that's essentially what they are. They come from a swampy world of high humidity. Their settlements are very are very spread out. They're not very high, like high spires and things like that. It's all very low. They think very much in terms of the group, because they are inherently, each of them, a group of individuals who are bonded together. So they have kind of an amphibious side to them as well, just given being kind of these amphibious slug types. The Gartaki are blue-gray skinned with kind of ridges and scarification, bulky people. They're, larger, kind of thicker limbs and thicker around the middle, bulky. Their society is built very much around sort of a merit based, like, you rise through the ranks, and your family kind of rises up the ranks through service and through doing things for the greater good. They are an incredibly emotional species. They feel emotions very deeply. So a lot of people see them as being very angry, because anger is one of those emotions that, when it expresses itself from a deep well, is very big. Right. But they are capable of feeling very, very deep love and compassion as well, which just isn't as you don't see that physically as easily as you see anger or fear become like a big display. The Ikrax are insectoid creatures who live, their society is it's a highly organized kind of hive society, but it doesn't seem to make sense to a lot of people, which is which is not out of the ordinary with hive creatures. That's one of those types of creatures that we as people in the real world, we're always discovering new things about like hive dynamics and so forth.
Yeah.
And so they are capable of great feats as a group, but they also know that they can't depend on that, and that if they are removed from their hive, their family, their group, their society, their organization, whatever, that they have to be able to handle things themselves. So they largely develop a fierce kind of level of independence and self-sufficiency, because they know that like they can't always just rely on the group doing things. The Orans are effectively your humans in space. They are a very widely varied species, more or less. Like I debated quite a bit about whether or not to have humans in the solar system, and I was like, it would be a statement to not have them, but it would also be kind of like there's some people that just that's what they identify with. That's what they some players are like, I just want to play the human. Because I understand that better, and playing something that's very, very non-human is difficult. It's not something that I'm interested in. I'm often
one of those people.
Yeah. The Skrell are lizard folk, but in the vein of what we understand dinosaurs to actually have been, which is a step between lizards and birds. So they are scaled but also feathered, and they are kind of naturally, due to their planet being kind of a dangerous place, they've, as a culture, as a community, as a group, they welcome exploration, because they were often finding new places to live, because horrible hazards and things would happen, catastrophes would happen. They would have to move encampments and so forth, and they are daring. They're not ones to look at a dangerous situation and find themselves too concerned with it, because their people have survived so much. And then the Vesh are sort of an amorphous blob-like species with tentacles and pseudopods, but who can also shapeshift into a humanoid-ish form. So you can take on a form of another species. But they're not perfect at duplicating. There's always something that's a little off about them, like something very noticeable. So it's
your
never
ditto.
It's never a perfect imitation.
The beady little eyes, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And they are the society is largely very intellectual and peace loving, and looks to solve problems with discussion and compromise and consensus, and as a people overall aren't terribly militant. Not that you can't play a character who is a capable combatant.
I know what I want.
And it's worth noting that the Orans, who are the human-likes people, the Gartaki, who are the kind of big, burly, tougher, soldiery, deeply emotional people, and the Cribid, the colony creatures, those are the three species that have formed the factions of the Triarchy. So that is not to say that there aren't Triarchy members from every species. There are members from every species who are part of the Triarchy, that are part of the military, that are part of different governmental agencies and factions and so forth. But those three species have at their core, they certain factions within each of their cultures banded together and kind of formed the Triarchy, and that's where the name.
They put the tri in Triarchy.
They do put the tri in Triarchy.
I would like to go with the Skrell, because I'm just picturing a sweet feathered dinosaur mohawk.
That's interesting. I was wondering, I saw at the beginning of the species the mixed heritage option.
Yes.
And I was thinking of blending the Skrell with the Oran, having Skrell and Oran parents.
You could absolutely do that.
I would love to.
The rules for mixed heritage is essentially a cross. So you will have attributes and features and things that are both Oran and Skrell. However, that plays out in your character's genetics. And when we choose species talents, which are, abilities that you have by species, which are unique to your species, you will choose one from each list rather than two from a single list.
Yeah. I think that sounds interesting.
I was spending so much time discussing all of it and thinking about what you might be choosing. And now I have to think of what do I want to do? I feel like I'm going to be an Ichrax, an insect.
Nice.
So we can put that into our character sheet as the species. And you'll be looking to choose 2 species talents, or in Ryan's case, 1 from each of the lists. And, we're not, there might be synergies of like talents that you choose. Like if I have this talent and this channeling, they kind of go together nicely. We can come back and you can change something if you decide. But if there's something that kind of speaks to you now, that seems like an appropriate ability for your character to have, we can go ahead and choose those. And there's a spot on your character sheet for species talents. The character sheets are spread across 2 pages with the intent that you could actually copy paste the descriptions of things out into the boxes on the character sheet. So, it might be a little difficult once you get to higher levels when you have a lot of channelings and things available, if potentially that you do. But especially during early, like you won't necessarily need to be referring back to the book for everything your character can do, because the character sheet will actually be able to contain it. You've got enough space to write out what your species talent does. You don't have to just put the name and try to remember what it does. So I would suggest it's up to you. How do you want to lay out your character sheet? But I'm just pointing that out as a feature of the character sheet. And we're using, are you both using the form fillable one, the PDF that I sent you?
That is what I have.
I'm not, because I like to write in mine.
Okay. And that'll, for the purposes of the PDF, it'll do what you kind of expect it. Like as you add more information into the box, it'll just make the font smaller and smaller. And there'll come a point where you'll be like, that's small enough. And then you'll have to figure out how you're going to keep track of everything. But but to start with, you can pick species talents. And each species has 5. They are unique to the species. There are some that are similar from species to species, but they're intended to be kind of unique. The idea here being that not every member of a given species is necessarily good at X, Y, and Z. Like some can do X and some can do Y and some can do Z.
Yeah. Oh my God. But what if I like all of them?
Oh, the difficulty. Well, that means I will take that as a compliment that I created 5 very interesting and
as you should. I know
talents.
that's one of the things that sticks with me when we talked to Grant and Chris from Rowan, Rook and Deckard, that like there was like, we want to have like a few options that you can't choose between. It doesn't necessarily need to be this huge long list, but we want a couple really evocative choices that are difficult to choose between. And so like that has always stuck with me. It's like a really good design ideal to have. You don't need a lot of choices. You just need to have good ones available.
Yep.
So okay. 2?
Yep. I've got my 2 species talents.
Okay, yeah, let's see what you picked, because one of yours will be from my list.
Yep. So I went with bird wings from the Skrell.
Okay.
Because I think it's cool to fly. And then from my orange side, I chose signature skill. Which leads me to the question, how do skills work? Can I pick any sort of skill, and whenever that skill becomes useful narratively, we utilize that somehow, or is there a list?
Okay, the basics of the mechanics are that your character has 4 traits, 4 governing traits: body, mind, charm, and heart. And body, mind, and charm are pretty straightforward as far as what those are, right? Physical stuff, mental stuff, social stuff. And then your heart is, let me find make sure I'm quoting the right information. Your heart is your character's inner strength, courage, resilience, and empathy, as well as their connection to the cosmic forces they use. So heart is a catch-all for a number of other things that will come into play on occasion. And there are, depending on how you build your character, there are times that heart will be very useful because for example, there are channelings that gain bonuses or have something tied to your character's heart score because it's how you relate and how you are connected to the cosmic forces. And so whatever those, those will range between a rating of 1 and 4. And that is your dice pool that you roll for those checks. If you have a particular skill for a type of check that you're making, you add a die.
Okay.
And what happens is if you have a skill, you have what's called advantage because of that skill. And that gives you a die. And you can gain advantage in other ways as well, but skill gives you advantage, which is +1 die. So you can keep that in mind as you're making your choice about signature skill.
Because with my signature skill, I never suffer disadvantage or complications when making a trait check using that skill.
Means you're so good with that skill that if you fail on a check, you just fail and you don't get punished for it. And like nothing bad comes out of it.
Oh, that's interesting. So like I get the feeling I can say like my signature skill is like orator, like speaking in a purposeful way.
One of the skills on the list is performance.
There you go.
Which would get you that. So you could take a signature skill as performance.
I like that.
I think for my species talents, I'm going to go with Pack Rat, which allows me a number of times to just like have things. I very much pictured this character in a very punk rock style with my feather mohawk and, you know, like a cool jacket that just has like too many pockets. And so I really like the idea. Like I know it does specifically say bag here, but that's fine. We can forget that. I'm going to throw out your rules. I don't really care about whatever
your container is.
I'm gonna, exactly. So I just love the idea of being able to be like, oh yeah, I got one of those in my pocket. Like, I
like that.
Yeah, this is for those of you who are familiar with Dragonlance. This is the Kender pouch. This is you have the container full of potentially useful things.
Yeah,
I like that.
There's some limitation to it, but you know, like sometimes if I wish we had one of these. Well, let me check.
So just do the pat down sort of thing. And then I also picked Intrepid Soul. You're immune to the frightened condition. I just really love to believe that this is a person who does not, immune or not, does not understand when you should be frightened of things. And so that's just very much how I picture it. Like, you've never really had to like face that. So it just goes completely over your head that now is a time where you shouldn't be doing that. So yeah.
I really hate that Scrappy Doo came to mind first when you said that.
Ryan, did you pick both?
Yeah, I did. I got bird wings and signature skills. So bird wings, allows me to fly at a speed equal to my ground speed.
And for my Icrax, Icrax have a number of metamorphoses that they can do that changes their physical body. I picked the appendage metamorphosis. So Icrax normally have 2 arms and 2 legs. I have 4 arms, however. So I can handle multiple items at a time. I can use 2-handed items while climbing or otherwise, using the other 2 arms in other ways. And I also chose Hive Mind, which allows me to communicate telepathically with anyone who has a language. That includes you. And so once per round, I can project a 1 to 10 word thought to any character within range 0, and we'll talk about ranges, but that means nearby, like in the same room. So I could actually talk to each of you. You couldn't respond, but I could say things to each of you if you're nearby without actually speaking out loud.
Very cool.
Yeah, I saw that one. That one's really neat and highly useful, I would think.
Let's see where we at. Species. Okay, are we ready?
Yeah.
Yeah,
here's the big one, or one of the big ones, the affinity. Your character's affinity. There are 6 affinities, each aligned with a particular type of celestial body. You can be a bolt, which is you are aligned with comets. An enigma, where you draw your power from the aether, the actual atmosphere, the space between everything. A fragment, where you draw your power from planetoids, like asteroids and meteors, things like that. A lunar, where you are moon aligned. A planetar, which is planet aligned. And a solar, which is star aligned. So you're drawing. And so for each one, there's a description of kind of what that means, like how that informs your character a little bit, how you might play your character, having that predilection, and so and a very basic overview of some of the channelings and novas that you might find for that character. I don't know how much we want to go into like reading all of that or describing all of that, but if there's anything that kind of jumps out at you, or if you want to know the difference between some different things, I can give you a very basic overview. If you look in the Affinity, the Cosmic Affinities chapter, the first couple paragraphs for each one is the part that kind of gives you the basic rundown.
I think I've got my eye on one in particular so far.
Already? I haven't even read them yet.
Well, to be fair, it's the second one, so.
Okay.
For those that were keeping track at home, that would be the enigmas.
Yes, enigmas your power comes from the aether. You are empty yet filled with everything. You encompass all the galaxy and give it light, warmth, and motion, as well as moments of chaos. Yours is the realm of limitless potential. Others find you unknowable but alluring.
Yeah, you had me at the last sentence. You manipulate mysteries like time and dimensions.
Anything jumping out at you, Amelia?
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh, this decision will govern my character throughout its development. It's
so high stakes.
So high stakes for our fanfic section.
It's really going to be tough. You know.
For the record, there is no wrong answer.
I mean, I get like just reading through these, I'm like, all of these are good. I'm kind of thinking planetar. Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to go. I like being a little bit a little hot and cold, a little,
yeah.
You know, I think this person is still figuring out who they are and what they want, and I really like the idea of just kind of.
You draw your power from planets, the places most life forms come from. You're a familiar face, a calming hand, a warm embrace, but are also a cold stare and a knowing smile. You are the teeming expanse of nature, both tranquil and wild. And I am going to complement that with my seasoned activist who has had enough with words and is ready to do it, to like I said, walk the walk, and I'm going to be a bolt.
Ooh.
You draw cosmic power from comets, distant streaks of light in the sky. You are the blazing knife tearing your way through tearing your way through life, heedless of much that surrounds you. While you can move quickly in thought, word, and deed, you are also extremely patient, waiting for the most opportune time to act. You're a seer of destiny and a bringer of portents. And I choose that because I know that the Bolt has a handful of abilities that are very combat centric. So this is the guy who has decided enough's enough. It's time to fight.
That's very good.
So I will make myself a Bolt on my character sheet.
I have a quick question. Why do some of them have an A next to them?
Okay, to explain a little bit about the channelings.
Jumping ahead.
That's okay. It's important to know this because you're going to be selecting some here. If there's the number that comes after a channeling, that's how many character points it costs to purchase. Okay. And the same goes for the species talents back before. You didn't have to pay any points because you get 2 to start with.
Sure.
So that's your cost. If it has an A in parentheses, that means it requires an action. So on your turn, you have movement and an action along with, some amount of free action type stuff you can do. So you'll use your action to use that particular ability. And the ones that require an action are generally, if it's combat oriented and it causes damage, if it's actual, like moves a combat forward and deals damage and so forth, it's going to cause an action. If it has significant deleterious effects to foes, it will. But if it's something that like, oh, it gives me a little movement bump, or I gain a skill, or I remove a condition from somebody or something, those usually don't. Like I like systems where you don't get all your actions sucked up in like these little helpful moments. But like when you're going to use something that's like, okay, if I'm not going to shoot with my laser pistol and I'm going to instead use a power, a channeling that has that will deal damage, then that's an action. Because just like firing my laser pistol would be an action.
Got it.
So there's quite a lot of channelings that don't require actions.
Yeah.
And let's see, we'll go back up to character creation here. Where are we at? We got our affinity. So we know what that is. You can start giving some thought to. We're gonna get into some other character stuff before we kind of get into trait skills, channelings, and all that kind of crunchy stuff.
I have time to think about it.
But this gives you the point with picking your affinities, it gives you flavor to the character, because the next up is anything you want to describe about your character's appearance and give them a name. Although we, as we discussed, Amelia, maybe all of us, can potentially save that if you prefer to address that at the end.
I do like that each of the species has like example names and like examples of how the names are put together for the species, which is really helpful, I think, for a lot of people that don't even remotely know where to start. And like all their characters are named like John or something like that, right?
Right. I gave that little blurb in there, like, for example, Gartaki names favor hard consonants and are often only one or two syllables, with Rak, Kulak, and Dorbov as being examples. So, if you choose to do it, you always can name things whatever you want. The GM will name whatever they're going to name, how they're going to name them. But you can have it be like, oh, like I hear a name and I'm like, oh, that's a Gartaki name. Or I hear a name and I'm like, oh, that's, probably a Skrell, because Skrell names sound like they tend to sound like music.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of humans in real life that don't name their human children with regular human names either.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be all over the place, but it does give you.
Who gets to decide what's a human name? Have you named a human that? It's a human name now.
Right.
It's very much along the lines of my feeling of breakfast, which is it the first meal you ate today? It's for breakfast.
Even if it was at 3 p.m.
Exactly.
Right, exactly. It broke the fast. It's breakfast.
So if you want, we can hold off on names and appearance. It's up to you.
I mean, I definitely I think I've talked a little bit about how I want my appearance to be. My feathery mohawk jacket with lots of pockets. I don't know what color though. I mean, I feel like pink for the
pink mohawk is it's very punk,
pretty classic.
Yeah.
Well, Skrell are described as particularly among the youth. They paint their scales and tend to wear Skrell clothing tends to be more fanciful, more it's embroidery and tracery, and they're more utilitarian clothes are like fancier looking than a lot of other species.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of handmade details put into this.
Sure. The equivalent of, the punk jacket with all the pins and everything.
Exactly. The pins and the spikes and the patches and whatever the feathered dinosaur equivalent of that is.
I think my character probably sticks to something that doesn't look imposing or intimidating at all, because he wants to play the element of surprise as much as possible. So his clothing will be fairly simple. And so depending on kind of where he falls in the hierarchy of our crew, there comes a point where we start, potentially talking about who's the captain, who's the engineer, who's the pilot, all that. Not that you have to have those set in stone. Different people can take that role when they want. But so he's going to be one of those guys. He would just disappear. You would totally forget he was there if you weren't specifically looking for him. And we can come back to name. Is that all right, Ryan? Do you have anything?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what's a blend between a Skrell and an Orin, right?
Well, the question might be, where were you raised?
Right.
Like, were you raised on Orana or on Skrellis? And did you adopt more of one of the culture, or did you specifically try to blend the cultures?
Yeah, I want, like, I think my character probably blended the cultures as much as possible, because like they have, I want to say they have like that obvious in between appearance, right? That's like their face is not quite as elongated as a normal Skrell's, for instance, and like their plumage is mostly where like the Orin's hair would be, like flowing down their back or whatever, and then they've got wings as well, and I'm assuming that's not like angelic like back wings, more of a like my arms are wings sort of deal.
It depends on how they grow. I didn't specifically define that. You'll see that in most of my game designs, and certainly in Cosmic Corsairs, I give a description of like, you have wings. That's as far as it goes. What do you want those wings to look like? You can decide if it's like, are your wings kind of part of your arms as well, or if they are their own appendage coming more off of your back by your shoulder blades, and your arms are not kind of integrated into them. I see no reason that it couldn't be either. Yeah,
that makes sense.
It makes for differences in clothing style. You know, if your wings are part, you know, your arms and your wings are kind of part of the same appendage, then it makes sleeves less of an option.
Well, what do you think?
Unless you're into
Amelia?
really big bell sleeves, those are.
Yeah, because I mean, Amelia, you're the full Skrell of the group. I mean, do you think the Skrell would have more of the like you know, 6 appendages with the back wings, or still with 4 appendages and their arms effectively unfurl the wings as needed?
I mean, I definitely see it more as the second one, but like, I did not pick to have wings, so I'm wingedless.
Yeah, I like the arms as wings in a way, right? Because that's kind of an evocative sort of thing, and then you're not like bulked down by these large back wings, and you look less like a gargoyle, I guess, which is my first thought.
Yeah, but it does potentially make some things harder, because then, you know, it's like you can't fly and do things with extra arms at the same time.
I think there are challenges for either. You know, differences for either one. Like if you had wings, that came off your back, like backpacks would get to be a weird situation to like wearing.
You really have to go for the crossbody messenger bag at that point. Fanny pack, maybe. Like more your style. You're not gonna find any cloaks or capes that really fit well if your wings are all back there. They're gonna end up being underneath there, and if you want to fly, then you have to get your cape off of you. Yeah. So. It's all flavor. I'm not like, if I were running the game here, I would not be. You're not going to get penalized for that. You know, the infinite variety of creatures in the universe make it whatever seems fun and evocative to you. I dig the wings and the arms kind of being together, especially for a mixed heritage. Kind of character. Absolutely.
And I think that like their face is not feathered, like it's surrounded by the plumage and whatnot of the feathers, but like their face is like that, a cross between scales and skin, almost.
I like it.
Do they have hair? Do they have hair anywhere on their bodies?
I don't think they have hair. I think it's a matter of like where hair would be, it's feathers instead.
Sure, but the form is a little more human, a little more Orin. So you don't necessarily have like lizard-like feet with a dew claw. You have more like Orin.
Yeah,
feet,
I would say like they could pass as
Don't you
orange
dare
feet.
say really long toenails. Don't you
Yeah, I'm
dare.
not going to say with really long toenails. No, absolutely not. No, I think it could pass as orange feet, or whatever, but like not. They still are a little more misshapen than that, right?
Sure.
They're more bird-like in the way, like they're constantly walking with high heels without having the high heels, right? They're constantly on the balls of their feet and whatnot.
Do you have Barbie feet?
Probably. It is important that I have a tail, though. I see there's a tail on the picture there. I think that's fun.
Okay, there we go. We're getting a sense of what these folks look like.
Mm-hmm.
And we can add to that as we go. Or even change it outright if you decide, I want to do this thing and I need to have I need to have my physical look be a little different. Your appearance and name, we'll come back to the name thing in honor of Amelia's preference.
I think I actually might have a name already.
Okay.
Call to action.
Yeah, like that.
So we're going to hear a little bit more about this in the discussion episode of this series, but I really enjoyed the starting with the character concept in this game in particular, because it really got your head into a place where you could start thinking about what's my place in this system, in this world, in this universe that is populated by all sorts of different alien creatures, as well as a whole bunch of political background, right? With a little bit of the background of the Triarchy and how life is hard and whatnot. And kind of thinking about the way things are in the world right now and what I would want my origins to kind of be in that sort of situation to turn into a hero. I think that was it was an interesting thought exercise. So I like this game. I like this character creation. And next episode, we get into the end of our character creation and finish fleshing our characters. But it was fun. This game seems interesting. It seems exciting to play. I would love to play this sometime. So definitely give it a try. There's a Kickstarter going on right now, which we'll have an announcement in a second. So why not we get there? Let's get to our calls to action. So first up, that Kickstarter that I just mentioned for Cosmic Corsairs is in full swing and has already been funded. It's already passed the first stretch goal as well and is on to the second one for more accessibility options with another form-fillable PDF, which is fantastic to see. If you like what you're hearing in this series, we will have a link in the show notes that will take you right to the campaign. Next up, check us out at GameHole Con in Madison, Wisconsin this week. I will be there on Wednesday in the evening or so. Well, actually, afternoon, I believe. I need to be dropped off before my kids get picked up from school. So I will be there shortly before 1 o'clock or so. And I'll be staying there through Sunday. But this Friday night, specifically on October 17th at 8 p.m. Central U.S. time, we will hopefully be hosting a panel. Right now, we don't have anyone signed up because I don't think the time slot is the best for what we're doing. But if you are around at the convention, you want to meet us in a small environment that'll be fun to create some characters together and whatnot, just stop by, figure out where we're at on the site, and come by the room and we'll have a good time. It'll be fun. We will be creating random characters using our custom C3 random tables. It's a lot of randoms for many random TTRPGs that we own. And between our event as well, we will have not too many other things that we're attending. So we're pretty wide open on our schedule, and we plan to take things a little ease into the convention, so to speak. Maybe play some impromptu games with some folks, maybe meet and hang out with some folks that are attending. We know a couple folks that are going. We would love to know more. So we would love to say hi, is what we're saying. And maybe we'll have some swag. I'll see if I can get some stuff thrown together. We'll see what Amelia's got on hand, and we'll see what we can hand out at the convention. But we would love to meet you. In other news, our Undying Bonds live stream is now planned for the 22nd of October. Currently, that is the Wednesday after we get back from the convention, next week Wednesday to be specific. We'll see if that sticks, since there is still some things left up in the air in life currently, and we'll see how that all plays out, but we'll keep you posted regardless. Aside from that, we would love it if you checked out the C3 Patreon at patreon.com/charactercreationcast. Our website upgrades for new series is in full swing, and I am super happy to have Fiona from What Am I Rolling helping out behind the scenes there. But we're behind on our funding goal to get to that original $160 a month goal, and I would love to order some enamel pins and send them out to our current campaign level patrons. If we can get to $200 a month, not only will that unlock yearly subscriptions for our supporters at a discount, it will also mean we can afford to pay Fiona a bit more every month to update the backlog of games on our site as well. We can get there by the end of the year with just maybe 4 to 6 more campaign level backers. That'll lock us in for a while. If we can get that, it would be fantastic to see. Joining at the campaign level, I keep mentioning it, means that you get new stickers for every month you are a patron, including one of every sticker that we have on hand. Right now, that is over 25 stickers, and there is more on the way. You'll also get a set of 3d6 C3 branded dice that are really great quality from ChessX, and a personalized thank you card from the both of us, handcrafted by Amelia herself, as well as many other perks, including bonus episodes and whatnot, as well as access to the backlog of our Undying Bonds game design sessions. That is all for $10 a month, and it'll go a long way towards helping provide that one-stop shop for any of the games that we cover on the show, as well as help us afford to make the show and make these fun perks for our fans. We also have tiers at the $5 level, which does get you the dice, the thank you card, and our bonus episodes, as well as the $1 level that gets you various perks as well, like our occasional chit-chat episodes and bonus outtakes. So head on over to patreon.com/charactercreationcast to get all that info. In addition to all of that, we'd like to thank our current patrons every episode. Your support truly helps out a great deal, so let's do that right now, starting with Lieutenant DJG, aka Tigranosaurus, and Eric Bonds. Thanks for your continued support. Thanks to Daryl Holiday II, Shadim Cabal, and the Shyest Barbarian. So glad to have you backing us. Benjamin Sweeney, Rob Fletcher, and Kevin Brown. Thanks for supporting our dreams. We appreciate your support, Tentacle Duck, John Adamus, and E3 Sketchpad. Thank you. Thank you to Carlos Salazar, Eric S., and Ian Potmeyer. Your support brings us so much joy. Liam G., Brian Coleman, Garden GM. Thanks. We appreciate your support as well. Tanglefoot, Blue Kryptonite, and Danny. Thank you. Nicole Trainer, Liam Murray, and Kenning. We appreciate your support as well. Thank you. Brian Kurtz, Mark E. Fair, and Drew Owen. You shouldn't have, but we're so glad you did. Thanks to all of you. Oz, Sean Metcalf, and Robert. Thank you all so much. Kevin Bates, Deadly Edley, and Allison Cole, you all rock. Thank you. And finally, Blue Scholar, we appreciate your support as well. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of our future patrons. If you want to join this phenomenal group of individuals, please head on over to patreon.com/charactercreationcast and help us out. And with more assistance, we'll be able to make those website upgrades to make exploring your favorite games that much easier. And if you want to join in the discussion with our hosts, some of our guests, and a bunch of fans, head on over to our Discord at discord.charactercreationcast.com. Finally, if you want to help us out in another way that doesn't require any money, you can leave a rating and review for our show on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, or Podcast Addict. We'll read every new 5-star review as we get them and as we both have a chance to record together. That's all we have for today's episode. Join us here next time when we finish creating our Cosmic Corsairs characters. Until then, take care, everyone. Stay safe, drink some water, and keep making those amazing people. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us for part 2 of this character creation series. We'll be back in part 3, picking up right where we left off.
Character Creation Cast is a production of the One Shot Podcast Network and can be found online at www.charactercreationcast.com. Head to the website to get more information on our hosts, this show, and even our press kit. Character Creation Cast can also be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at CreationCast, or on our Discord server at discord.charactercreationcast.com. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Bolter, and I can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Lord Neptune or online at lordneptune.com. Our other host, Amelia Antrim, can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky at Ginger Reckoning. Music for this episode is used with a Creative Commons license or with permission from the podcast they originated from. Further information can be found within the show notes. Our main theme music is Hero Remix by Steve Combs and is used with a Creative Commons license. This podcast is owned by us under Creative Commons. This episode was edited by Ryan Bolter. Further information for the game systems used and today's guests can also be found in the show notes. If you'd like to support our show, find us on Patreon. Get access to bonus episodes, exclusive merch, and much more at patreon.com/charactercreationcast. Thanks for joining us. And remember, we find that the best part of any role-playing game is character creation. So go out there and create some amazing people. We'll see you next time.